Hi gamers, and welcome to the second part of my 10-year YouTube anniversary Q&A answers. The last time I left off roughly at the halfway point of going through the comments of the questions video, but I left the questions open, and ever since there's been quite a bit of new questions, so I guess we're not even at the halfway point here at the questions, but we'll see if we can squeeze this into an hour and a half. The previous video was 1 hour and 20 minutes. So let's get to it. I think we left off here. Riyadh is asking me, what does your family think of your collections or videos? If my dad, for example, had a huge stash of games, I'd be super happy. Also, what games are you looking forward to the most? My family is of course supportive. Of course, I had my fairly big collection before I had a kid, and before I met my girlfriend, and so she knew what she was getting into. But luckily, she is also a gamer, so she benefits from the game room here, and we had some gaming nights where we just come to the game room and see whatever I wanna show her or she wants to try out, and it's good fun. And of course my son is a gamer, and well, he mostly plays what modern games are out. Mainly plays on the Switch, mostly Minecraft at the moment. And he's 7 and getting to that age, and but yeah, so he doesn't really have that much of a of a hankering to play every game here. Doesn't probably care for most of these games here. But yeah, when he's older, it's gonna be really interesting to see what he wants to try out. Is he gonna go for the classics, or Dad, can I play Metal Gear Solid or something like that? So it's gonna be good. And what games are you looking forward to the most? I'm looking forward to, in the near future, the new Trials game. I love Trials. It's also a Finnish game, but it doesn't really matter. It's just a fantastic game series. And of course From Software's new game Sekiro. So those are the main two games that I'm looking forward to in the coming months. Third Note Beats is asking, what game is your favorite to play over and over again? I have very few of those. There are a few games that I've played through multiple times. Like Ocarina of Time I played 3 times, Majora's Mask 2 times, A Link to the Past 2 or 3 times. And yeah, but I don't really have like a go-to game. If I want to relax or something like that, I just play what's available at the moment, what's hot at the moment. But yeah, I don't have a game like that I keep going to over and over again. Then Fresh from the Delhi is asking, do you also collect trophies and achievements, and if so, what's your most prized trophy achievement and why? I was more into achievements in the previous generation. I mainly played on Xbox 360. I guess my gamer score was like 36,000 or something like that, and that really hasn't gone up on the Xbox One. I haven't really I've been mostly playing the PS4 on this generation, so the gamer score is pretty much unchanged from the 360 days. And I got a couple of platinums on the PS4, but nothing too major. I don't really go for the trophies these days, but sometimes I like to take a look at the list. If there's something easy, or just something to keep your eye on while you're playing the game, then I just might spice things up and try to use a specific weapon or kill the specific enemies in a specific way, if there is a trophy for that. So I do keep an eye on them, but I'm not really a hunter, if you want to call it that. And then, what do you most want to get in your gaming collection that you haven't got round to still? Well, I'm mostly drooling over some specific Neogeo AES games. I would love to finish my King of Fighters collection. I have 8 of the 10 King of Fighters games for the AES. And of course there's tons and tons of several $1,000 games that I would love, like Blazing Star, Pulse Star. You know, I don't even need Kizuna Encounter, it's not that great of a game. But yeah, you know, big games like that. So mainly, you know, if I won in the lottery, I would definitely pump up my Neogeo AES collection first. Payable on Death 7 is asking, have you ever had any contact with Nintendo themselves about your N64 collection? Do you have anything or a game that is either one of a kind or similarly rare? No, I haven't. I'm pretty comfy with the Nintendo's Finnish distributor, Bergsala, and the guys that are running it here, but they're not, you know, specifically Nintendo. So I've tried to get Nintendo's attention, well, Nintendo Japan, USA, UK, any of these, with my complete Nintendo 64 collection or complete Wii U collection, but you know, they haven't retweeted anything or congratulated or, you know, say that's amazing. So I guess, well, I would say that's they're not on point with their Twitter game. If that's the case, there are that many collectors in the world who are that dedicated, so it would be nice to get a little retweet out of them. But no, I haven't been in contact with them. And do you have anything or a game that is either one of a kind or similarly rare? No, I don't have anything one of a kind. Trying to think of yeah, I guess my rarest game, well, I think I might have some swag that you know, they made like a couple of dozen or maybe 100 of those, but no, not really sure. Nothing one of a kind. Mini Puppy is asking, if you could become one video game character, which one would it be and why? I'd be Link. He's the hero. He has a cool sword, and he gets to say, "Excuse me, Princess," to Zelda. Ryan Lambert is asking, do you feel that you aren't able to play a game for 40 plus hours, so you stay away from games like Red Dead Redemption 2, Octopath Traveler, Monster Hunter's World, etc. So just play quick games that are more pick up and play, like Celeste, Into the Breach, Dead Cells? No, I don't. If a game, you know, I try to stay up to date. Of course, I've been in the in games journalism, and of course I stay up to date what's still coming out, and I usually play you know, the big games. If something is a major game is coming out and, you know, everybody says you have to play it, then I'll play that. I count games like that as, you know, part of you know, being you know, educating yourself as a gamer. So I play the major games, be it, you know, short or long games. So it doesn't really matter how long it is. I guess I would prefer like 20-hour games with some, you know, tight story, but sometimes that's not possible, and well, usually whatever I play I fall in love with, and it's very rare that I actually leave a game unfinished. So like when I played Assassin's Creed Origins, it's a long game. I didn't do everything in the game, but I did most of the side quests. And yeah, it was alright. I kind of didn't want it to end, but I guess I didn't want it to, you know, do all the tedious little side missions and collect everything, so I didn't artificially want to prolong my gaming experience with that game. But yeah, I had a fun 50, 60 hours or whatever I spent with that game. Dark Valoria is asking, how old are you? Well, I was born in 1981, December, so that makes me 37 years old, turning 38 this year. Dope Meister, is N64 still your favorite console? I think it is. Super Nintendo it's up there as well, so I'd be hard to pick a favorite out of those two. And McQuaid Boo says, did you see movie Ready Player One? If so, what were your thoughts? I've seen it, went to the theaters to see it, and I liked it. I haven't read the book, so I don't know how it translates into the big screen, but I like the idea, and it's, you know, of course it's a geeky movie, so I think it appeals to us nerds that way. It was really fun trying to pick out all the little nods and Easter eggs that are part of, you know, the pop culture and games and movies and everything. So it was really nice ride. As far as the gaming was represented in it, you could see that Microsoft had put in some sponsorship, and Capcom. You know, there were lots of Street Fighter characters and Gears of War, Halo, and yeah, Microsoft did spend some money with that. And as such, I guess it kinda broke the illusion a bit. You know, I don't think Gears of War is gonna be, you know, an all-time classic that everybody in the future is gonna remember fondly. Somebody will, of course, but it's not up there with, you know, Back to the Future. Whereas, you know, Nintendo would be, but Nintendo wasn't part of that. Didn't spend money like Microsoft did. So what can you do? But yeah, I liked it. It was a good adventure. Tim is asking, how is your health nowadays? It's good. I think there were some health related questions later on, but so I guess I could leave the answering to you know, I'll elaborate more on another question. But if you're just asking about my health, it's good now. Habarvas is asking here. Oh, no questions from me. Sorry. Hi, Habarvas. Then channel 9001. What is a game that people like but you hate? Conversely, what a game that you like but other people hate? I guess well, going first here, I wasn't blown away by Red Dead Redemption 2. It looks great. It plays clunkily, but I understand the appeal and how monumental of a task it must have been to make the game. But I just wasn't drawn into the world like many others were. I find it a bit of a chore to get into the game. So actually, that's one of the very few games that I figure that I don't enjoy this as much as I should. So I'm gonna cut it short. I didn't finish it, and I don't think I will. Maybe one day I'll get back to it, but I just didn't find it rewarding enough for me to put my time into it. So yeah, can't please everyone. But something that I love that people hate. I don't think if this qualifies, but Zombie U is definitely better than people say it is. Especially, you know, it was a launch game for the Wii U, and especially the American reviewers didn't like it. I guess they wanted more action. European reviewers gave it a slightly more favorable score. But it's a fantastic game and one of the best examples of what you can do on the Wii U. Even though it was ported on the other machines, it's still the best played on the Wii U. And a fantastic game, really good survival horror. At a time when survival horror was kind of scarce. Now Resident Evil is back with a vengeance, so it's all good now. But back then, you know, it was really nice to have a game that you actually have to count your bullets and everything. So yeah, love Zombie U. Edward is asking, if you had to guess how much money you've made over the years on YouTube, what would you say? I think it's less than what people think you would make over 10 years, and you know, several million views. But it's not insignificant. It's okay. It's okay. Phoenix Family is asking, what are your goals with Neogeo collecting now as AES has become so expensive lately to collect for? Yeah, AES was expensive, you know, 10 years ago, and it's just been going up and up and up. So, you know, clearly I can't have a goal of, you know, owning every game on the system. Very few people in the world can have a goal like that because of the couple of games there are so rare. But yeah, I guess my goals are, you know, get the big ones, get all the King of Fighters games, the 2 Last Blades, as many Metal Slugs as I can. Maybe every Metal Slug except 1 and 2. I guess that's semi-realistic, and yeah, stuff like that. So, but not aiming for a complete collection. Ronma999 is asking, what is your favorite game developer of this day and in age? Nintendo. And what is your favorite developer of retro games? Nintendo. Rare would be my guess, but interested in your answer. Of course, Rare back in the day, not these days, but back in the day was fantastic. They really didn't do many side steps back in the Super Nintendo and especially Nintendo 64 days. Nintendo 64 would be a very different console if it wasn't for Rare, which you know, it was such a shock when Nintendo sold Rare to Microsoft. But I guess, you know, Nintendo was right about that, because Rare hasn't been themselves after that. So maybe Nintendo knew that, you know, they lost some key people and there just weren't the same company. But yeah, it was a shock. But yeah, Nintendo themselves, if you can entertain a broad answer like that. And then Ben Walls. 10 years have passed. In that time, how has your YouTube channel improved your outlook as a gamer? Perhaps the opposite too, if you wish. I don't think my YouTube channel has improved my outlook. You know, collecting also helps, you know, the gamer in me. I get access to a ton of games. But I guess, you know, being in the games journalism, being a part of a games magazine, was a bigger influence than having a YouTube channel. But yeah, it's of course always nice to see the inner workings of the industry. You appreciate it a tiny bit more that way as well. So yeah, I guess that's something. But of course, you know, being in a magazine, and you know, you get free games. At least if you don't get them personally, you get them to the office and everybody can play. You know, you actually get access to so many games that you kind of get jaded to some games, I guess, and you know, you really pick your battles, so to speak. You know, instead of playing everything like we did back in the day when you know, as a kid. Games were that's plentiful, and you know, you couldn't download 1,000 demos for free over the internet. You know, you had a few games per year, and you played and loved those games to death. So these days it's so easy to, you know, skip a game and start a game and not finish it, and so yeah, it's I guess the fight for your attention is something that's very real these days. 98 Nintendo guy, have you seriously regretted a game purchase for any reason? Yeah, I think I mentioned this in some video, but I really regretted getting Far Cry 5. It was terrible. The world was great, but the action was just stupid. Unless you had cleared everything, the bad guys just keep on coming. You can't go 10 feet without going into a firefight, and it just ruins the action. I even had, I did my mission. I completed it. Was going back to the guy, to finish the mission, and all of a sudden a plane is coming down and raining fire on me, and I can't finish the mission there, and all sorts of bugs, and I can't finish the mission because of the bugs, and it was a really frustrating experience. And actually, yeah, I got the Father Edition, but sold it. Sold it after a couple of weeks, and yeah, that was something that I actually regretted. JS200GB is asking, what is your first memory of video games, and what is your greatest accomplishment in a video game? My first memory, the first game I got was the tabletop Mario Cement Factory. But I can't remember my first memory. I don't really have a memory of my father bringing me that machine, so can't really say. Greatest accomplishment in a video game. Yeah, I guess I'm a better than average player. I guess. Well, I think I should be, having all these decades of experience. But yeah, I've played through the Dark Souls and Bloodborns. But then again, so has many others. But I guess this really doesn't take that much skill, but it's something that I actually think fondly of. It was sort of this crazy thing that I decided to do in Otogi. Or was it Otogi 2? I think it was the first one, Otogi 1. And it has, on the Xbox, it has destructible environments. And whenever you smash something, be it, a column or a wall or furniture or something like that, it gets saved onto the Xbox One hard drive. It's something that the hard drive was able to provide Otogi with destructible environments and the ability to save all of the damage. So I got this crazy idea of smashing everything that is smashable in every level of the game, and I did it. You don't get an there weren't achievements back in the day, so I didn't get anything for it, but I smashed everything, and it was pretty difficult because some levels had sort of time limit, and some levels you were being poisoned, I think, so you have to go somewhere else and come back before the timer runs out or something like that. So it wasn't just smash this, and you really had to do something in order to smash everything. So I don't think many people have done that. You can try it. It's pretty fun. Even though it's been a very long time since I did it, but I have fond memories of that achievement. Supreme PWR is asking, can I have an Xbox One X? Yes, you can. Just go to the store and buy it. Master K official, glad you're still on YouTube. But what was your first game you played? Do you still have it, and do you still play it? Yeah, it was the Nintendo's Red Game & Watch tabletop, Nintendo's Mario Cement Factory. electronics game. And yeah, I played it last year with my son. Still works. Still have it. Panic Assassin X. How many languages do you speak? 3. Finnish, Swedish and English. And when you go to Japan, is it hard to navigate or talk to other people there? Or if you know basic Japanese, you can still get around and have fun. I don't speak a lick of Japanese. I understand a couple of words, but that's it. But yeah, it's all the public transportation is in English, and several signs as well. So you get by, and you can order food just by going to a machine and pressing a button that has a picture of the food, and so you get by without knowing any Japanese. And then Matt Aldridge, what do you think about the Bungie Activision split? Well, Bungie it's one of my favorite game studios. I've played all the Halos before and after Bungie, and played Destiny 1 and 2 to death. I think Destiny 1 is my most played game. Most played game hours in a game, so I really love Bungie, and I don't really love Activision. There some questionable business ethics there, and don't really care about other Activision properties as such. I don't play Call of Duty and stuff like that. So I think it's a good thing that Bungie can now do maybe something that they couldn't do while with Activision. ZPS Best Profile Name is asking, how has time changed your views about the games you loved, hated, if at all? There are certain games I just wouldn't enjoy if at the time I was my age now. Yeah, of course, nostalgia is a hell of a thing. There would be probably many games that if I were to play now, I have most of them here. If I were to play them now, I guess I would feel that this isn't as good as I remembered it. But then there are some really actual classics that haven't aged a day and are really very playable these days as well. So that's always nice to notice. But yeah, games like Mario 64, it's still perfectly playable, and it's my favorite 3D platformer. It's just perfect. And then top 3 consoles and why. I think N64 is probably still your favorite. Yeah, I've been through this a couple of times now. N64, Super Nintendo, and Neogeo AES. And then Me1Jur is asking, is having such a soothing voice a blessing and a curse? I don't think of me having such a soothing voice. I didn't think of it at all before I started making YouTube videos and people giving me a ton of comments on it. So I guess it's nice. I don't think there's any curse involved here. Just a Dude is asking, what are your thoughts about all these Wii U ports for the Switch? It's great. The Wii U was one of Nintendo's biggest failures, sales-wise, but certainly not games-wise. They put out roughly the same number of games that they put out for like the GameCube, and certainly the same quality as well. And it's just a shame that people didn't get to play all of those great games, and now they can. So the Switch ports are very welcome. Not many left. I think like Pikmin 3 and Mario 3D World are one of the few games that are still left as Wii U exclusives, but I think they'll come as well, and that's fine. Do you have a catalog system or for organizing, managing your collection? Yeah, I use Excel. I got everything written up down there. Tyler Busu is asking, what's your favorite single-player game has been in recent years? My favorite single-player game is of this generation and the recent years is Zelda Breath of the Wild for sure. But I I was almost tempted to say Destiny 2 because I played Destiny 2 or Destiny 1. I guess most of my gameplay hours were solo. And just hooking up with the fire team when we are doing a raid or something like that. But of course, Destiny has so many flaws, but it's an easy win for Breath of the Wild. TV and Lost is asking, "Hey Janne, who is your best YouTube friend?" You are. Yeah, it's been crazy. I think Craig is my TV and Lost is my longest time friend of somebody that I haven't met ever. So maybe someday I'll come and visit the East Coast and we'll try to hook up, or you're more than welcome to come to Finland and check everything out here. So I'd love to meet you. Demon Days. What are you most excited about, and or what do you hope to see more of in the future of video games? Well, my job is has to do with AR and VR, so I'm pretty interested to see where VR is going, and looking forward to the next generation of like PSVR. PSVR has a pretty good thing going on. You don't need, of course it's not as powerful, or you don't get as high grade games as you could with HTC Vive Pro, but you don't need an expensive computer to play those games as well. So PSVR has a sweet spot of the price, hardware requirements and the quality of the games. But yeah, looking forward to the second iteration of PSVR and slightly better resolution the most. And then we go to Sunos Play. What's your favorite game? This was my very first answer in my first video of here, so check that out. It's Mario, Zelda. I can't pick. Christy Chiru, do you have some cameraman training? Your videos feel very professional. Not official training, no. But ever since I was a kid, I guess my dream job would have been first an actor, but then a film director. So I did study filmmaking for 1 year. It was this 1 year course, but that didn't really lead to anything. But I guess you could say that I'm always been interested in it, and I've done some short movies, some stupid stuff, don't ask, when I was as a kid and a teen. But yeah, I don't really think my videos are that professional. I really should get a better camera. This one is getting pretty old, and yeah, my voice sound systems are really out of date as well. I just got here one light, should have better lighting. The previous answer video was really dark and murky. I think this is slightly brighter. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, I don't have really training as such, but I do have an interest. Then Jorge Sanchez is asking, I recently found out in one of your old videos that AC/DC is your favorite band. That's awesome. What's your favorite song and album from them? I think my favorite song is You Shook Me All Night Long. It's just a good old-fashioned, fun rock and roll. None of that gloomy stuff that many bands do. That just have fun. My favorite album, this might surprise you, but I think, of course, Back in Black is classic. All the songs there are fantastic. But I think my favorite album might be Ball Breaker, because that was kind of my first AC/DC album when I first got into music in general. I wasn't really interested in music as a kid. I was somewhat of a late bloomer, but Ball Breaker was my first AC/DC album, and I went to see them live on the Ball Breaker tour as well. So I guess that has a special place in my heart. And then Blinkoom is asking two questions. Do you think you'll be doing YouTube for another 10 years, and are there any plans or changes you'd like to make with your channel? Another 10 years, I don't think so. I think YouTube is kind of going down the toilet. It's definitely harder for many of us to get get the views and the ad money that we used to, and of course most of that is losing viewers because not innovating enough or not doing different things or something like that. So you're just getting left with just the core audience, your hardcore fans, if you will, and but a lot of it it's just YouTube doing some baffling decisions and trying to shaft people with the ad money. It's not really transparent from them, so you can't really do anything. And yeah, so I guess for those reasons it's not the same as it has been, but maybe 5 years, I don't know. Who are some of your favorite channels to watch on YouTube? It doesn't have to be your favorites, just ones that you enjoy watching most of their videos. Yeah, like I said in the previous video, I do enjoy watching ASMR. I have a FinGamer ASMR channel as well. If you're interested in ASMR, check it out. If you're not, don't check it out. It'll scar you for life. And certain all kinds of ASMR artists. I don't have a set favorite on those. I loved Cinemassacre, Angry Video Game Nerd. I think he's one of the few ones that I actually watch everything, every video of. And then in Finnish we have Niko Haikala is asking, mikäs on mestarin oma lempivideo 10 vuoden tubetustaipaleelta? He's asking what's my favorite video from the 10 years. Favorite video? Well, my most viewed gaming video is my first world's biggest Wii U collection. It's up to 670,000 views maybe, so that's pretty big. And of course I'm really happy about that. And my second viewed video was the unboxing of the Detroit press kit, over 400,000 views, and that came out of the blue. I was really happy how that blew up. But yeah, I have plenty of unboxings mainly that have the biggest view counts of that specific edition on YouTube. So I'm really proud of all of those videos that I'm actually the number one in the world. So I have a fun place in my heart for those. But as such, I guess you have to go where it all started. My first video, that's gotta have some nostalgia value for me. But of course, even though this is the FinGamer channel, not FinGamer ASMR, my most viewed ASMR video is this where I handle dozens of different game controllers and make some different sounds with it. I don't even talk in the video, and that has like 1.3 million views. Altogether, it still generates, people are watching it every single day. A lot, so that's really amazing for me. Of course, I think it has some part of it's about the gaming history aspect, and some it's the ASMR aspect. Metroid is asking any thoughts on the recent Metroid Prime 4 news. It's for the best, of course. I wouldn't want a bad Metroid Prime game. That would be awful. And Retro Studios, they're back at it where they should be. I don't get how Nintendo why Nintendo wanted them to be a part of Metroid Prime franchise for this long. I loved the new Donkey Kong Country games, but yeah, Metroid Prime is where it's at. So definitely good news. It's just a shame that means that it's at least 3 years away. So we might get it on the Switch too. Maybe like a Breath of the Wild situation that it's released on both systems, the old and new Switch at the same time. So we'll see. But it's good news. Fierce Punch. I think I've been watching your videos since you're collecting tips. Yada yada yada. Thank you. My question is, how has your collecting taste style changed over the years? I know you've gotten rid of a complete set or near complete set before. What changes your mind about collecting for a certain console or to stop collecting for others? A few years ago I sold some stuff, mainly some handhelds. I sold my Game Gear collection, very small, PSP, and the N-Gage. That's the full collection that we're talking about here. Yeah, I did get a full collection of N-Gage games, and N-Gage was a fun system, and it had, it was a Finnish machine, so it was a fun project for me. But the games were terrible, and I didn't actually love the system at all, unlike the Nintendo 64 and the Wii U. So it was mainly a collecting project for me, and as such, once I finished the collection, it was done. I didn't really get that much of satisfaction of owning a complete set that I don't love, but still the collecting of it was really good fun, and had fun hunting down the final games, and found many games out in the open here in Finland. They were quite plentiful and cheap. That was one of the reasons why I started collecting, because many of the games were like a couple of euros a piece. But I sold the majority of the collection to TV and Lust, Craig, who is an avid handheld gamer and collector, and so the collection is in good hands. But yeah, a few years ago I got rid of all the handhelds that are not Nintendo. So that was my reasoning there, and I was running out of room in the game room. So I knew that something had to be done, so I figured out what are the things here that are expendable for me, and decided upon those. And it actually gives you a good feeling, getting rid of something that you don't need, and in my opinion, it made my collection better. Have better focus, and not sprawling all over the place, and difficult to display. Got a couple of games here and a few games here, and I guess it's just more cohesive as a whole. My collection after selling a few little things. It's not, you can't even notice it in this room if you're selling a couple of 100 games, so it's fine. THN is asking, what rare and expensive game would you buy if there would be no money to worry about? Definitely Nintendo World Championship kart, the gold one. So I would love to own that game. Ryan Knight, what do you enjoy doing that isn't video game related? Any other hobbies you are passionate about? Yeah, Warhammer, miniatures. The hobby came back in a big way, and I just have I guess I have 150 miniatures painted at the moment, and at least the same amount, maybe even more, unpainted, and always got a hankering of buying more. But it's not just about getting the miniatures and painting them, but we have a nice little group to play with, Age of Sigmar. So really blessed in that way, that I actually get to play something. I was kind of, when I got back into Warhammer a year and a half ago, I was kind of ready to just paint and collect and deal with the miniatures, and I was dreaming about getting a small group of players together to play games with, but I wasn't counting on it. So it's really nice to have a play group for Age of Sigmar. Nick Connor is asking, what's your favorite controller of all time? That's the Nintendo 64 controller. It gets way too much hate on the internet. That's just ignorance of people. From people, yeah, it's the single most influential controller of all time, and games would be very different without Nintendo and the Nintendo 64 controller. That's for sure. Yeah, true, there has been analog controllers before, but it was Nintendo's idea of putting it under your thumb, and the rest is history. And in addition, of incorporating the rumble feature to a console controller as well. So really influential stuff, and some of my fondest memories are playing games with that controller. Ryan O Games is asking, you didn't have Turtles in Time then, and you still don't now. Why is this? That's my question. That's a good question. You can't have them all, so I guess I've had you gotta focus on something, and yeah, Turtles games, it's definitely something that I have a small void in my collection. I have the first Turtles on the NES, and I have the Hyperstone Heist for the Genesis, but Turtles in Time specifically I don't have, and yeah, definitely gonna pick it up if I get it for a decent price. But yeah, I guess even though I'm pretty happy of where my collection is, it's of course missing still a lot of stuff, and I'll get to them whenever I feel like it. If I get a Turtles fever, then it's definitely going on my list to buy next. But yeah, so far just haven't. I guess it's a multiplayer game, so if I get a friend that's equally excited about the prospect of playing Turtles in Time again since childhood, then something like that might spark my motivation of getting it right now off of eBay. Back in the Day is asking, I know that you've been to the States numerous times for work. What is that you find most fascinating about the culture here in the US? I don't know if it's fascinating, but you really need to fix your healthcare system. Obamacare was onto something, and it went away, and if you're voting against something like that, you're doing a big mistake. But the best part for me is the food. It's American foods are something that's that I love, and they're not good for me, but I just stuff myself whenever I'm in the US, and yeah, I would just love for all of the fast food chains to come over to Finland so I could eat all of them. But then again, I guess it's part of the charm of traveling, that you go to some place that you can get in your home country. definitely the food. Yeah. And Colin Peters Films is asking, would you consider doing more standalone videos? You used to do more of them earlier on, like top 10 most valuable games, top 10 Nintendo 64 games. I found those very interesting, and talking about those subjects in their own video instead of grouping them into recent collecting videos would also increase the view count. Thanks. Yeah, definitely. It's videos like that just take a lot of planning and top 10 or top 20 something. It's always a product of that time. So I guess it's I am kind of worried that I might change my mind and it's not an eternal video that way, like the most valuable games. But of course I should do an update on that, and I think it would be really interesting for people. But then again, I kind of feel like if I've done something once, it's like a cop out for me to do it again, even though there's been now 10 years since I did the previous iteration of that video. So I should really take a look at what kind of standalone videos I could do, and that's a good point, and I'll definitely do something about it. Ari Ginsberg, what's your experience with Earthbound? How much did you enjoy it? I remember you were lucky enough to snag an original copy. Actually, I haven't played it all that much. Of course, I fired it up and played for maybe an hour, but just didn't have the time for a big RPG like that. Maybe one day, but sorry, I can't give you a better answer than that. Then Gorilla Professor, there's a long comment here. I guess I should read it here. Blah blah. One thing that absolutely blew my mind was how straightforward you were in one of your ASMR videos. Huge fan of that channel as well. Dealing with the end of a serious relationship and moving forward with your life in a positive and influential light. That video has helped me, and I'm sure many others, in a handful of ways, so I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you again for that, and also ask what aspects of your life besides video games keep you the happiest and most distracted from how tricky real life can get at times. Yeah, I did an ASMR vlog video about the end of my previous relationship and how hard that was. It's I guess part of the reason I did it, because, well, one, it was therapeutic, but I guess I also wanted to tell some others who were in the unfortunate position where I was. It really wasn't an easy breakup. That everything does work out, and it really has. If you look at where I am now, and really in a happy place right now. So everything works out, and you hang in there as well. But what else keeps me happiest and most distracted? Movies, TV series. I guess that's apart from video games, that's my main distraction. I know I should do some more sports, and I play floorball maybe once a week, and so I guess that's my sport of choice. But I really need something, a competitive sport for me, for me to keep doing it. I couldn't go to the gym and just lift some weights there. I need to have a game incorporated into the sport as well. So floorball is the one for me. And then we have Isaac Elhav. There's a ton of comments here. Thanks a lot. Some of his favorite videos, and Your knowledge and experience playing games has led me to try many new genres and games, and I can't thank you enough for all of it. Very welcome. It's good to hear. And your ASMR voice also really helped ease my anxiety in bad times, and still does help me feel calmer or fall asleep sometimes. That's one of the best things that I get to hear when I do ASMR videos, is that, you know, actually relieves people's anxieties. So that's really good to hear. And most of all, I appreciate you being you and not trying too hard to do things like others, perhaps bigger channels. Yeah, thanks a lot, Isaac. I think there is no question here from Isaac, but really good to hear. Neogeo is asking, have you ever thought about quitting collecting? What were your down moments? Yeah, now that we're talking about it, it was one of those down moments when my long relationship ended. You kinda think about, you know, what's important in life, sort of questions in those kind of situations, and I guess that was a part of the spark that caused me to sell some of my collection. But like I said, the actual selling of something that I didn't need was basically just a good thing. So, but yeah, those kind of things can be tough on you. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't, you know, get rid of everything, because that would have been a huge mistake. Because I love collecting, I love video games, so that's never gonna change. Of course, I've thought about it, you know, how much money I could get out of all of these, and you know, maybe if I'm looking for like a bigger house or something like that, you know, a big purchase or a significant change in my life would cause me to sell all of my games and stop collecting. But other than that, I don't think so. That I could, you know, quit altogether. What was your earliest gaming memory, and has that memory played a role in your desire to collect video games? Well, like I said, it's really hard for me to think about, you know, my earliest memory. I guess it goes back to the NES, playing with my brother, playing with my friends, you know, scribbling down Mega Man passwords on a sheet of paper. Yeah, those were really good times. Of course, I guess it's hard to make a you know, differentiation between, you know, what was happening in my life at the time and what I was playing. I guess it all just meshes together. You know, those innocent days, you know, not a care in the world, and I guess that's kind of the same feeling that I have when I think about, you know, how I played NES games back in the day. So, good times. Alexander, will you ever focus more on PlayStation 2? I'm going to Japan. Could you do a video about good gaming stores, locations? I got over 200 PlayStation 2 games, so it's as such, it's one of my biggest collections inside my collection. So I don't think I'm gonna be focusing more on that. If I'm gonna be buying more games, it's gonna be more Nintendo, I think. And you know, you don't mention where in Japan you're going. If you're going to Tokyo, of course, it's basically all the biggest game stores are in Akihabara, along the one main street there. Just Super Potato is one block away. But you don't want to go to Super Potato. They're really expensive, and they know that all the Westerners come there and they can scalp you. You can really get a better deal anywhere else than Super Potato. Especially Mandarake. They have one store in Nakano in Tokyo and one in Akihabara. So check out Mandarake's. And of course all 4 trader shops. But there are some independent shops as well, but just walk along the Akihabara strip and you'll find them. Wolf Power is asking, what's your daily job? I'm the... Holy crap, there's 25 questions here. Just let's see how many I can answer. What's my daily job? I'm the program manager of Nordic XR Startups. It's this accelerator slash investor company in startups. What interests, hobbies do you have outside of gaming and game collecting? Miniatures, Warhammer, Age of Sigmar. Do you work out? Not as much as I should. Basically, the short answer is no. How is the relationship between you and your partner? It's great. We're both gamers. She understands me. She's a nerd as well, and she's really good with my son. So all the bases are covered here. 5, has gaming affected that? No, because she loves games as well. But in a positive way, I guess it's affected that. 6, I understand that your partner also plays games. What games does she like? She plays anything, between mobile games to hardcore strategy games on the PC. She loves games like Harvest Moon, the old ones, not the new ones, and Stardew Valley. Yeah, she also, I think our favorite current gen game is Horizon. Do you also sometimes game together? Yes, we do. Like we did Overcooked 1 and 2. Those are great recommendations. 8, most prized gaming related possession. Yeah, it's still the limited edition adventure set of Zelda Majora's Mask. 9, most valuable gaming related possession. It's pretty much the same adventure set. 10, how do you cope with space when your collection grows? Do you already have additional space allocated for the future? Yeah, I just recently getting ready to do my game room tour for 2019. Just recently shuffled around some shelves here, and now I have some space for the Switch there, and on the other side there for Xbox One and PS4 and the Dreamcast. So all the current gen machines have space ready to be filled, and Dreamcast also has some empty space around it. So, but if I'm actually running out of room, then I just sell, or put some. Basically, in these shelves here, I got some space behind there, so I got some Wii U peripherals and some boxed sets are behind this row of games here. 11, how much of your monthly income goes towards gaming? Percentage. It really depends on the month of my disposable income, after I paid for, my house loan and all the bills and food and everything. I guess like 50% of my disposable income. And that's video games and miniatures and all that. 12, how much time daily, weekly, monthly goes towards gaming? Like I answered in my previous video, maybe a couple of hours a day. It kind of depends if I'm playing something. What is the best deal you got in collecting? This also, like I mentioned in my previous video, it's the Castlevania Vampire's Kiss that I got at a thrift store for 20 euros. The game is worth like 300 euros. 14, favorite game of all time. I'm not gonna go into that. Favorite game character, Link. Favorite game genre, action adventure games. Favorite game series, Zelda or Mario. And then questions for the worst here. I don't really have, a worst game character or worst series. There's no point in hating something. There are tons of stuff that you don't, they're not for you, but I don't really actively dislike any series. At least I don't think so. 19, amazing pickup stories. Well, I always tell the Vampire's Kiss story when it comes to pickups. It's really getting slim pickings these days. You can't go to a flea market and expect to find any games, let alone some decent retro games. So really getting difficult. 20, any general hidden gems or recommendations for collectors / gamers? that's like a video of its own. Let me see if I can get to it. You know, some hidden gems games for all systems combined. So maybe I'll get around to doing that video. 21. A rough estimate of how much games you own that you actually played and how much you actually completed. Like I have 2,500 games, and of course I have hundreds of sealed ones. But out of the ones that I have opened, I think I've played like 90%. You know, not through, but you know, just put it on and see what the game's all about. So yeah, I guess roughly 90% of my opened games I've actually played. Finished, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if it's even 10%. But yeah, of course I finished hundreds and hundreds of games during my lifetime. How many games do you own in total? Yeah, 2,500 physical. And with digital, I can't even count. Although I haven't really bought that many digital, but I've had my fair share of download codes from my previous job, so maybe a few hundred digital games on top. Do you follow any rules in terms of collecting? For example, all games of the same series must be bought on the same game console, like buying all Assassin's Creed games on PlayStation. Yeah, not really. No. It does look good. For example, like Mega Man. You know, the Mega Man X games. They came out. Some came out. All the Mega Man X games on that generation came out on the PlayStation 1, but some came out on the Saturn, and I would love to own all of them, but yeah, if I had to choose, I would prefer getting all of them on the same system. If I can't have all of this on PlayStation 1 and Saturn, then I guess I would choose PlayStation 1 for Mega Man X games. For that reason. So yeah, I guess I prefer getting them all for the same system. 24. Any non-game articles like a statuette or something that you are very proud of? No, I don't really. I mainly collect games. I would really run out of room if I were to collect anything extra, basically. Just my amiibo collection here. That's not strictly gaming. 25. Do you have an extra insurance on your collection? I'm just personally very scared to lose everything at once due to a flood, firestorm, etc. Yeah, I don't have extra insurance. I have my just normal house insurance, which covers most of this, but not everything. But yeah, having extra insurance would cost prohibitively too much, and I kind of get the feeling that even if I insure this for its right amount of money, the insurance company would still haggle that down to like 50% of that, what they're really worth. Old electronics, what's that worth? So that's what I would be scared of if I were to pay a lot of money per year for what they're actually worth, but they fall under nicely or decently enough of my regular house insurance. But yeah, I'm in the second floor here of my house, so no flood can come here. But yeah, fire is of course a possibility. I really hope I don't have to face something like that. Just a dude. What was your most satisfying cheat code? Something to do with the Doom, I guess IDDQD or ID SPISPUBD, IDKFA, all those codes. Yeah, really fun messing around with Doom. Nathan Anderson, what's your all-time favorite vintage game that's not from Nintendo? That's a tough one. Not from Nintendo. I guess we are, leaving out, something that's not on a Nintendo console. But if is it vintage? If it's Shadow of the Colossus, it came out on the PlayStation 2, but also on the PlayStation 4 now. Maybe Steel Battalion on the Xbox. That's in a league of its own. I'm really happy that I have it, and I even got to play it online with some real people, the sequel on the original Xbox. So that's something that I'm really fond of, and don't know if you count it as a vintage game, but yeah, that's really up there. And then Jason Weiser is talking here about how collecting games is difficult, so many variants, region exclusives, special editions, blah blah. My question is, if money was no object, what would the first thing you do to improve your collection? Also, if you have the time, what game surprised you the most at how good it was, and what game disappointed you the most? Cheers and thanks. Yeah, like I said here previously, I would really bolster my Neogeo AES collection if I won the lottery. And yeah, disappointment was Red Dead Redemption 2, and something that was really surprisingly good. That rarely happens, because like I said, I like to keep up with the times, and you get a pretty good feeling of if a game is gonna be good or bad. So I rarely play something that I don't know already that it's gonna be good. So Matthew O'Connor, who is your favorite character you use in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? It's Link, always has been since the Nintendo 64. Mick Hero is asking, what is your most proud favorite videos that you made for your channel? This I answered earlier already. Yeah, the ones that made the biggest views. It's always really humbling to see that a video is getting to the six figures, like over 100,000. So I guess any one of those. Chris25, what was the first game you owned? What console was it on? It was the we're getting to the third or fourth iteration of the same question here. It was the Mario Cement Factory, a tabletop electronics game. Shoot to Kill is asking, what are your thoughts on PC gaming? PC gaming is something that I guess I did more younger. I've always been a Nintendo fan, but there was a point in time when our family got a brand new computer, 486, and I played Doom, Doom 2, Warcraft, Warcraft 2, Heroes of Might and Magic 1 through 3, and those I guess if I were to pick one of my favorite PC series, it's Heroes of Might and Magic. 2, 3, maybe 3 is my favorite. That's the sweet spot between being old enough but not too old, and the graphics still, beautiful but not overly realistic like they did in the later series. So yeah, and I guess I would like to play more, but I'm just so comfy with the console gaming, and nowadays many games are coming out on consoles as well, so there isn't that much of a reason to play PC games anymore, apart from the of course the graphics, if you're willing to put in a lot of money. But strategy games, any games that you play with a mouse, if Blizzard makes a Warcraft 4 only for the PC, I'm just gonna have to borrow my girlfriend's computer and play that. So really really looking forward to a good, decent real-time RPG, I guess. Chris Apple, I love your voice. Can you make an ASMR video? You're in for a treat. I have a whole channel of ASMR. It's called FinGamer ASMR. Damien Dharmarotne is asking, have you ever considered selling your collection or giving up collecting? Yeah, I glanced at this a couple of questions ago. Do you think you'll ever get to a point where there's simply not enough room for any more games? Yeah, I've been there, but if and when I'm gonna move the next time, it's gonna have a bigger game room. I'm gonna be picking my next house partly with that in mind. The reason I'm asking is because I'm currently selling off my own collection, as I no longer have the space in my home to keep it. I'm hoping I won't regret it in the years to come. I'm trying not to think about it too much. Interested to hear your thoughts. Well, do you have to sell everything? You know, if I were you, I would still keep like the top 100 or top 10, I don't know how big your collection is, games, and so that you won't completely regret it. But yeah, it's definitely possible, and if it's retro games, it's, you know, most likely the price of the games are going up, so it's gonna be more difficult to get those games back. Oh no, Studio. Because you, I started being interested in Amiibo. I'm sorry. Sorry I got you down that road. What do you think, which direction will Nintendo go with their new Amiibo? The quality will be even better, or size of them will be bigger? Will Nintendo ever reprint the characters already published but remaster them, or will they perish? I think Nintendo will do some rough or small reprints. They've done it already for some of the out-of-print Smash Brothers Amiibo. I don't think they're going to be changing the size all that much, or the quality. I think they have a really sweet spot here. I think there's still gonna be there's gonna be some, you know, special Amiibo lines that, you know, have maybe a bigger scope, bigger size, like the huge Yarn Yoshi. So there's gonna be, you know, special editions like that, but I think they're gonna be staying this road for the immediate future. Colon, any special videos in Finnish possible? Yeah, maybe. I always get some good comments, but also bad comments when I do a Finnish video, so we'll see. Liath611, there is a very long comment here. Let's see, was there a question here? I do think YouTube needs to help you out more, getting views, subscribers. Hopefully other game channels can give you shoutouts, because I'm sure if more people knew about you, they would follow. And my questions are, do you think retro game prices are peaking, or will they continue to grow? I think they will continue to grow, but you know, not as steeply as before. They're quite high, and you know, people, you know, there's tons of ways to play, even legal ways to play old games. So that's gonna be, you know, a Nintendo coming out with the mini consoles. So that doesn't, you know, mean that collectors won't pay high prices for the original games. They still will. But I guess you know, having the mini consoles, it's something that the that's gonna take the more casual players out from the retro gaming market, and thus the prices won't be as high, or you know, rise as steeply. But they're still gonna be going up, I think. Did you slow down on the collecting because room constraints? Yeah, kinda, but also I got in a pretty good place with my collection, so I guess that's the reason I've slowed down, you know, buying massively from eBay. Do you think Nintendo will eventually become a software only company like Sega? No, I don't. Nintendo is doing very well with and they're always be making always done their own hardware, and their games have sold the most on their own hardware. So having a monopoly in your own little niche is always a good thing. What do you think is the reason for the recent price boom on Vectrex Systems games? I haven't noticed, mainly because I got most of the games when they were cheap. How? Are they really expensive nowadays? Of course, the 3D and the light pen games are more expensive because they're rarer, but will you ever stop collecting? We touched upon that. What system do you wish you had a full collection of? Neogeo. Yes. Sorry about the duplicate questions here. What system do you want to collect more of? Yeah, Super Nintendo I would love to collect more of, but they're really expensive, especially in the complete in-box form that I need to have my games of so it's gonna be difficult to collect substantially more for the Super Nintendo. How much time to play video games in a week? 10 hours. Has Finnegamer Jr. opened something you wanted to keep sealed? No. He's always drooling over something here, but yeah, Daddy's gotta keep it sealed. Sorry Finnegamer Jr. if you're watching this in the future. Do you think he will become a gamer collector? He is already a gamer, and I think he's well on his way to become a collector as well. He has some toys that he loves to collect, and some cards, and that he has in a binder that I gave him, and yeah, there's some inkling of that. Will you ever be contented with your collection? I'm quite content now, but I guess it's a collection is never complete. If a collection is complete, then you're not happy with it, because it really is about the journey and about the collecting. What game has been the hardest for you to defeat? Maybe Samurai Showdown 3, without cheating. I played this on the Neogeo arcade cabinet, and the end boss just kicked my ass over and over and over again. I can't get through Samurai Showdown 3 without cheating, without even with endless credits I couldn't beat it. So that's really usually you can just mash the buttons and you get lucky at some point, but he just kicked my ass. I can't believe it. What's the most expensive game you have found super cheap? Castlevania Vampire Kiss. What game have you invested the most time in? Destiny 1. What is your least favorite game franchise? I don't dislike as such. Hardest thing you have to sell relating to video games. There isn't really hard things for me to sell. If I've sold something, it's been for a good reason, and therefore it's not difficult. What video game YouTube channels do you watch? Cinemassacre mainly. I can go on, but I'll stop now. Thanks Leoth611 for this barrage of questions. Jeremy Maselou, have you ever considered filming Let's Plays or streaming? Yes, I have, and actually, people have asked me do a Let's Play sometimes, but actually I have done it. I've played Bangai on the Nintendo 64 from start to finish, and I didn't have any capture material, so I just filmed it straight off my TV screen, and I filmed during the night, so I couldn't speak that loudly in my living room, so that I wouldn't wake everybody else in the house. So it's not the best Let's Play for technical reasons. But if you're interested, check out Bangai. I think I have a playlist or something for that as well. So check out my channel. Hans Solo is asking, what do people at your work think about your channel? Your videos have an incredible amount of views. They're like, oh, you have a channel? In my current employment, and then we talk about what's good and what's not, and when did I start and stuff like that. But yeah, mostly I guess if I tell somebody for the first time, they're kind of surprised that I have a channel. But of course, in my previous job in the gaming magazine, that's where it all started. I started filming with the company's camera back in the day, and actually I'm currently using a microphone that's on loan from them. So, and then standing while white and proud no shame is asking me a question: why do you look so different in the face than you used to? That's to the point. This is earlier in this video I said I'm going to be talking more about my health, so this is the question. And basically, was it like 5 or 6 years ago, something like that, or even actually I think it's 7 years ago, I got an overactive thyroid, which led me to lose weight rapidly. And then I got a medication for that, which made me gain weight even more rapidly. Eventually we cut it out. I got a scar here, so I have no thyroid whatsoever. I have to eat pills for the rest of my life for that. And so that got taken care of. But I had, because of a wrong dosage of medicine, I was at my heaviest at that point, and was really not happy with the way I looked, how I felt, and also the thyroid, the same condition that made the thyroid bulge up and be overactive, also bulged out my eyes slightly. It could have been worse. You can Google images, thyroid eye problem, and you get some really bulging eyes. Mine were quite mild in that respect, but it still changed the way I look. And I've actually had a total of 3 eye surgeries to make them look more normal and release the pressure behind the eyes. I've had holes drilled to my temples, to the bottom of the eyes, and try to release the pressure there. I've had a doctor go through my nose and shave off some piece of skull to give the eye some, more room, and also had a corrective surgery to lift some of my eyes to look better. And yeah, but still not anywhere near like I used to look back then. But yeah, that's just one thing. Of course, the added weight makes me look a lot different as well. But hey, I'm 10 years older now than when I started, and I got the beard, glasses, everything. So that's the reason I look so weird in the face. But all in all, actually, it's been a really long road, because of some of the unique aspects of my case in the thyroid here. I had some like I said, some bad dosages, and actually only now I'm finally getting rid of all the extra medicine that were prescribed to me, and from now on I'm just gonna be using the thyroid medicine. But it's taken years for me to get over the thyroid problem here, and it's definitely affected me, not just physically but emotionally as well. It's been quite difficult times, but yeah, looking good now. Grindjules asks, which consoles have you spent the most time on? Which do you play most at the moment? And the same in terms of games. It's It's possible that the console that I've spent the most time on, well, it's basically every in this generation. I think it's PlayStation 4. The previous one was Xbox 360, and previous to that it was the GameCube. Previous to that, the N64. So difficult to say which one of these was has been the overall the console that I spent the most time on, because whenever there's a new generation, I play all the games that come out during that generation. So it's not like I really like Nintendo 64, so I'm gonna play some extra time on it. It doesn't work like that. It's all about the games. And currently, well, I play multiplayer games on the PlayStation 4. If there's a game like that, though I haven't played Destiny 2 in a long while now. But and the single player multi-platform games I play on the Xbox One X. But I guess the most that I play is the Switch. Lots of good games coming out for it. Hasu Hessu asks me, how do you get so much money for games? I get this question a lot. I really don't make just a regular job with a regular salary. I don't make anything special money-wise, but I've accumulated this collection over the years. I guess ever since the Nintendo 64, I haven't basically sold anything. I've started my collecting at the over 20 years ago, at the end of the 90s. So you can take 100 or 200 or 300 euros each month for like 21, 22 years. So that adds up. So there you go. There's no special secrets here. Or anything, just buy some games when you can. I guess me not ever having smoked cigarettes or ever being a fan of alcohol, that really frees up a lot of money that would have been wasted in other ways. Steve Runciman asks, here we go, 7 questions. Do you remember Freak Boy for the N64, and does it ever hurt knowing that the title was never released? I never heard of Freak Boy. But yeah, Mother 3, I guess that's the one that stings most from the Nintendo 64. If you could live as easily in Southern California as you do in Finland, would you make the switch? Yeah, I would love to live in the US, of the culture, the food. Not under Trump. He's a clown and really hurting the country. But maybe after him. But yeah, I got my family, my son here. I wouldn't do that. But maybe when I'm older, it's possible. Anything's possible. 3, do you believe in God, and if so, what sort of God? No, I don't believe in God. 4, do you believe 9/11 was an inside job of some sort? Please elaborate. I don't think 9/11 was an inside job, but I do think JFK was killed by an inside job. 5, do you believe string theory is junk science? I've heard of string theory, but I'm not an expert on it. I don't really want to make a statement here. 6, has there been a game you refuse to play because you don't like things the developer or publisher has done? Well, back in the day, I wouldn't touch Sega games. I was a Nintendo guy, and Sega, no. But after that, no, not really, not really. It's not about that. I think we should boycott some firms, for some extensive crunching without overpay or something like that. That shouldn't slide, but it's really difficult to get enough people into that kind of movement for it to matter. And then finally, from Steve Runciman, if for a job you would be required to play games 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, whatever game you liked, not as a tester, just as a gamer, and you would get the same wage you get now, but you would have to commit to doing this for the rest of your working life, would you take the offer? So I would be able to play any kind of game, or just one game. If it's any kind of game, just gamer, of course I would do it. Wouldn't everybody? If it was, you have to play one game for the rest of your life, then after a quick deliberation, that would be a no. But if you can, keep changing the games, definitely. I would definitely game for my job. Super Mario Renee is asking, what is the worst and the best game to you of all time? We've covered this. Which is worst to you, Superman 64 or E.T. for the Atari? Definitely Superman 64. E.T. It's not that bad of a game, actually. First of all, it was coded by one guy in like 2 months, or was it even less? I don't know. But he was really in a rush for what it's worth. What he did was nothing short of a miracle. But you have to understand that if you look at old Atari games, E.T. was pretty advanced. You could move on different screens and pick up things and go there, and it was an adventure amidst Pong clones. So E.T. it's definitely better than people say it is. It's not a bad game, but it just came out at a time when people were getting sick of bad Atari games altogether. And Atari made a huge bet on the game, and I think they actually made more of the games than there were Ataris at home. So they banked on the fact that everybody who has an Atari buys one, and then many people get an Atari and E.T. as well. So that's the reason why they filled a landfill with them. They just made too many of them. But that has nothing to do with the quality of the game. So Superman 64, definitely. It's awful. What is your favorite console of all time? We've been through this. What do you think of the Power Glove? I hate it. I don't have the Power Glove. It's of course a piece of cult memorabilia, cult classic, and but I think if it was made by Nintendo, I would have gotten it already. But it's a third-party peripheral. I'm gonna get it at some point, but it's I think it's a bit difficult to get it in complete in box form, and so that it's not somebody hasn't used this as a Coke cup or something like that, Coca-Cola cup or something like that. So many of them are in terrible condition. So I'm gonna get it someday, but I haven't tried it yet. Mark Kaufman, hello Finn Gamer, what do you do for a living? I'm the program manager of Nordic XR Startups. It's an investor / accelerator for VR and AR startup companies. Brandon Syme, what is your favorite video game of all time? Nick Young, how much is your collection worth? I don't want to say. Eldakar is asking, what is your favorite book of fiction and why? Actually, I don't know if this is a shock to somebody, but I don't really read books. I guess I should read more, but I haven't really read them. Actually, my favorite piece of literature fiction is by Don Rosa. It's The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. It's of course a comic book. I'm sure this is not what you meant. Sorry about that. But but it does tell a fantastic story. It evokes a lot of feelings, and Don Rosa is just a master of the medium. And Don Rosa and Donald Duck, Scrooge McDuck, they've always been huge in Europe, especially in Finland for some reason, and USA has been all about Mickey Mouse. So I'm not. I'm sure that many of you haven't even heard about it. But if you want to read some quality, basically a quality graphic novel, read Scrooge McDuck's The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. So you won't be disappointed. It's fantastically drawn and really good, really great story. Kevin Miller, what are your thoughts on the current game industry? What do you think is going to happen in the near future? That's a very broad question. I think the games industry is both in the best place it's ever been. The market is the biggest it's ever been, and games are more acceptable and widely spread as they've ever been. But at the same time, it's really difficult to make a breakthrough, get some profit out of a game. So it's really a hit and miss with studios closing all the time. So that's a problem. That's not a healthy industry right there, even though there are lots of prospects. But it's not my place to try to fix. It's a big problem. But what's going to happen in the near future? It's not going to happen the next generation, but it's possibly the next generation after that. We're going to go mostly digital. I think one or even two out of the three console manufacturers are going to be going digital only in 2 generations. So that's what's going to happen in the future, I think. Samuli Mononen asks, what is the hardest console to collect for? Of course, Neogeo is the most expensive, but then again, it does have a very limited game library, so it's not that difficult of a task to try and round up. Then again, the PlayStation 2 has tons of very, very cheap games, but I think there's like 8,000 titles released for the PS2. So it's whatever you want to define difficult. Sawyer IK asks me, how did your game collection grow even more? Well, by buying games. Not sure what's the question here. Piggy Sauce, everything is Piggy Sauce, asks me, how are you able to travel and get games that aren't in your country? Well, of course the internet helps you get any game that you want, but I guess I'm these days I'm more traveling on business than on pleasure, but I usually try to stop at local game stores whenever I can, whatever country I'm in. So it's a good way to pick up some games that aren't available in your country. Just be sure that the game is region free, and possibly even you might want to check that the language options include English. Kevin Kun, aside from game collecting, what other stuff did you collect? I'm kinda curious. Well, I do have Magic the Gathering cards quite a bit, even though I haven't actively collected them in a while. And I did collect AC/DC records. I have all AC/DC albums, and yeah, those are I guess my main 2 collections that I still have. Of course, back in the day I've collected ice hockey cards, for example. Gumball Ree, how many games do you hope to collect before you stop? Like I said in my previous video, I do have a list of games that I still want, and I guess that's like 200 or 300 games strong. And that's like a list of games that I could think of. A really an extensive list of games that I've either played as a kid, but I've lost since, or games that have collectible value, or just are classics. And I've got all of them listed, but sadly they are not cheap. 200 or 300 very expensive games, so it's gonna take a while for me to get those. But yeah, I guess like since I have now 2,500 games, I guess I could be quite content at 3,000 games if you wanna hear a number like that. Jinga9876, what are your thoughts on the Super Smash Bros. Series? Yeah, I loved it on the Nintendo 64. I was quite baffled when they announced it. Nintendo characters fighting it out. How can this be? But yeah, it was a riot from the get-go. I always loved Link, and I have really fun memories of me, my brother, and two other guys playing. My brother was always playing Yoshi, and two of my friends were playing Kirby and Pikachu, and we had the same characters over on Melee on the GameCube. Sadly, after that, we kind of moved our separate ways and haven't really played Smash Brothers since. But yeah, played it from the beginning and played hundreds and hundreds of hours altogether, and I just love it. Oh yeah. Why do you think making videos from your mother's basement is a career? I don't know. Let's ask your mother. Neil Ebaid is asking. No, he's asking. He is congratulating me. Thank you. Molagzal. What game was your biggest letdown ever? Like I said previous, the most recent letdown was Red Dead Redemption 2, but of all time, I'm sure there are some, but it's really rare for me to buy a bad game that I'm about to play. But I guess it's Far Cry 5, like I said previously in this video. What's your favorite thing to do in Grand Theft Auto Vice City? I don't think, well, any Grand Theft Auto, not just Vice City, but yeah, I just love to wreak havoc. Not do the missions, but just go around the town, see a cool car and make a U-turn, get the car, and try to do a stunt jump and run over some people and just go crazy. THN is asking, do you consider the Mario cereals or the Skylanders figurines, etc. as necessary addition to a complete set of amiibos? Great question. No, I don't. Although I do understand why completist collectors would get all of them. But the Skylanders amiibo, they're not amiibo, they're Skylanders figurines with amiibo functionality. So I don't count them as the part of a complete collection. Not necessary for it. About the cereals, no, again, they're not amiibo. They're not amiibo characters. They're pieces of cardboard. I understand if somebody wants to collect them, but I'm not gonna go out of my way and pay a crazy sum of money, on eBay for one of those. They're not amiibo figurines, period, for me. Your boy Jacques is... can't believe it's been this long since I started. No question there. Steve 512345678 is asking me, late to the party, but what do you think of the Atari Jaguar, and did it launch there? It did launch here, and I did own it. That was actually one of the consoles I sold, in addition to my small collections of the non-Nintendo handhelds. I sold Jaguar, the 3DO, and the CDI, basically a trio of crap consoles. Sorry, Jaguar, CDI, and 3DO fans, but just consoles that I didn't love, and I didn't have anything, any games for the consoles that I would miss, basically. So I got rid of those. But Of course, I liked Jaguar in a way that it used game cartridges. I love game cartridges, and any console that uses those is good in my book. And it had the CD add-on. It had a lot of things going for it, but it was just way underpowered. And Sega Saturn, PlayStation 1, and well, I guess even 3DO had it beat in the power department. 3DO even 3DO even had some good games like Space Hulk, but Jaguar had very few redeeming features. Of course, Alien vs Predator was one of those, and even though it's of course a very simple first-person shooter, very clunky at that, but it was still a unique game, and as such, every console has their own exclusives and reasons to own it, whether they're big or small. And Jaguar did have its own, but it was just I didn't get one when I was a young man. Luckily, I didn't waste my money on that. So, but it was nice to experience later on. Even though I did sell it, it was nice to experience and play the games on my own. Even though I did sell it forward. And Isaac Elhav continues here. Was there ever a period of time when you stopped playing games completely? Yeah, like I mentioned, of the end of the relationship. That was also a part where I didn't really play games at all. It just didn't feel meaningful at that time. So that was one point in my life. George the user 842 asks, what car do you currently own? Also, what car would you like to own? My car is a Citroën C3. It's not very good in these cold winters. I think I need to sell it this summer and get a better car. But it's been fine. I guess my dream car would be some American muscle car, from the 70s, something classic. And George asks also, do you watch any TV series on Netflix? Yeah, all the time. Just finished Castlevania. I'm in the middle of watching Maniac. Me and my girlfriend love watching Japanese style Originator. That's a fantastic show. I watch Netflix all the time. Crapuloidi is asking here, have you modded any of your consoles for convenience sake? For example, I have a modded Xbox. You can play games in 480p on a flat screen TV. Yeah, I got plenty of consoles modded. I got a modded Xbox, the original one, a PlayStation 2. My NES is modded to play US games. And basically, I guess those are the ones that have a physical modding inside them. But all my other consoles have one way or another to play import games, like an adapter or a disc to swap out. A GameCube I also have a modded one. But that's just for import ones, not for hooking up to a flat screen, because you have to have one of these CRT TVs for retro games. Are you a fan of Kingdom Hearts series, and have you played part 3 already? I'm not a fan, my girlfriend is, and she's played part 3. She's a bit disappointed by it, and it does look a bit barren. I've also seen her play some of the earlier games in the series, and they did look a bit more interesting, I guess. Something about the level design is a bit off, but yeah. And then 3, what are your thoughts about the closing of Wii Shop channel, and what are your favorite Wiiware games? I don't have, I don't think Wii Shop channel had much traffic these days, so it's fine that it went. My favorite Wiiware games, me being a fan of physical games, I really didn't buy all that many Wiiware games, and it's been like, how long has it been? I think it's been like 10 years since I last checked out some digital games on the Wii. Was there some Castlevania game just for the Wiiware? Sorry, I can't even remember, so I guess they didn't do that much of an impression on me, sorry. Stormwind is asking, whilst full setting, have you ever struggled with motivation when it comes to picking up the likes of Barbie, Just Dance, Sing Party, etc.? Do you feel that you may have burned yourself out a little collecting full sets for the Wii U, in the sense that it became less and less about why you love gaming? If so, did you decide that enough is enough, that you would just enjoy the Switch for what it is, instead of full setting it? Thank you very much for your content over the years. No, I had no problems getting the bad games for the Nintendo 64 or the Wii U. A full set is a full set, and it's just for the preservation's sake, it's important to get everything, the good and the bad. It's I'm trying to, video games are our culture. I'm trying to get all the games for one medium, one console. So it's I feel it's my duty to preserve the cultural history, the good and the bad. And it's playing games like Superman 64 that are hilariously bad. It's just fine. It's not a chore at all, and I quite enjoy playing the bad games as well. As for Barbie, I keep it sealed, of course. Just Dance games, I keep them sealed. I have no intention of playing them, and that's fine. And but it's maybe they're cheaper, easier to get, so it's not like it's gonna burn me out, and definitely it didn't burn me out in the Wii U. I would get quite excited if every time Ubisoft says that one more Just Dance game. So here's hoping that Just Dance 2020 is coming to the Wii U. I would be very happy to pick that up. But as for Switch, I think it was obvious from the get-go that it's gonna do a lot better than the Wii U. So just getting a full set for that would be madness. Even for the Wii U, I got the idea of collecting everything for it was when I realized that all the bargain bins at stores and some web stores here in Finland, that I could collect like 30, 40, maybe even 50 games for it for dirt cheap. That's when I got the idea of getting all the games. So, but that was like maybe a year or about a year into the life of the Wii U. So I definitely didn't start collecting it for it right away, and I think it's mainly a mistake for buying brand new games for the full retail value if you're trying to collect a full set. Always try to get the best deals and wait for the bargain bins, and then if you're really serious about it, then try to go back and get some of the games for cheap. But yeah, definitely don't start collecting for a brand new console for the retail price of the games. Just foolishness. So that's not burning out. I just knew that the Switch is gonna be having like it's possible that it's gonna have 10 times the amount of games that the Wii U had. So not gonna collect all of those. Razvan Petro, what games do you play at the moment? I'm still playing Smash Brothers. and looking forward to Trials, and I just finished Resident Evil 2. To Apple or Samsung, I'm not a huge fan, but I guess Apple. What was your favorite subject in school? It's either English or gymnastics or sport class. Sonic Boom XY35 is asking, how do you find the time to end up playing each and every game in your collection? I don't play each and every game in my collection. Are there any games you haven't played in a while that you would like to revisit? Yeah, definitely. I have, of course, lots of retro games that I would, they're in the category one day. But there's too many to even list here. But it's still very nice to have a big collection that, if you feel like it, you can just take out a game and start playing it. So it's definitely something that I'm going to be doing when I'm retired. Play all the games that I haven't played. Small Bigs has some more questions here. Have you ever wished to go back in time to experience the past? Definitely, many times. 6. What do you think of YouTube nowadays? I feel like it's mostly changed in terms of content, going from funny or creative videos to including meme or political culture. Yeah, definitely, it's not the same place that it was. It used to be hip, and now it's a dinosaur. 7th question from Small Bigs. Do you have any religious beliefs? No, I don't. Not in any shape or form. 8. I still can't believe it's been 9 years since I watched your videos. What would you say to the people that have been sticking by you since your first video? I certainly wish I was 9 again. So you're 18 now? Okay. Thank you. You're crazy. And let's stick together. I think it's crazy to think that it's been 10 years, and how big of a portion of 10 years is from my life, and maybe from your life. Like it could be most of your life. Maybe you're like 19 now and you've been watching for 10 years. So that's really cool that you've been on this journey with me. 9th question from Small Bigs. Have you ever done emulation of your retro collection? No. I hate emulators. If I want to play something, it's gotta be with the original hardware, with the original controller, and it's the legal way, And I don't want to steal money from the publisher or the owner of the game. Of course, they don't get any money if I buy an old game, but it's still their right to release it someday later on as a digital download legally. So it's not really a valid point of saying I want to pirate this game, because it's not currently available in any digital download. It can get there, so you shouldn't use emulators in basically any situation. I guess the only way is that if you're doing playing some fan translated game of a game that you have, like the Japanese version of, and you want to play it in English, so you have a ROM emulator that somebody has translated into English so that you can play it. So I guess that would be the best, or maybe even only reason to use emulators. 10. How did you learn to speak English and understand Japanese? I don't understand Japanese at all, sadly, but English I learned to, everybody in Finland learns to speak English at school. I think it's on the 2nd or 3rd grade onwards, and so everybody in Finland I guess speaks decent English. But games have been a very big influence on me and my skill to speak English. and of course movies and TV series as well, but games are a big influence as well. And finally we get to the last question asker here, Dodo Fro. Let's see. First, as far as video game violence is concerned, do you strictly censor things that your son or other younger people sees or plays? I tend to gauge how much I let younger kids play based on my own gaming experience. Yeah, of course, you know, I can't let my son see any mindless slaughter. I think the most violent thing that my son has seen is seen me play Destiny. And you know, there are some frightening things, some monsters there that daddy is shooting, but you know, there's no blood, and I guess my son is pretty good in, you know, realizing that, you know, this is just a game, it's not real, and he hasn't had any bad dreams to my knowledge, so I think it's all good, but I haven't of course let him see any of the harder stuff. And let's see, where's the next question here. Second, have you ever had anything stolen from either your gaming or Magic the Gathering collection? If so, do you know who did it? To my knowledge, or to my recollection, no. I guess maybe I've been lucky that I haven't lost any of my Magic cards in a public place if I've been playing or something like that, but no, I've been spared from that. A third, have you been to the United States? If so, where? Utah? No, I haven't been to Utah. I've actually been, have I been 3 times in the US, and all 3 times I've been to LA. First one was my honeymoon. It was San Diego, Anaheim, Los Angeles and Las Vegas, and then a couple of times I've been to LA for E3. So I would love to go to the East Coast next, but it's been really fun at the West Coast as well. And that was the last question here. I answered them all. Maybe I shouldn't have. There's like 2 or 3.5 hours of stuff here, I guess. So if somebody wants to, or if somebody has you know, looked at both of these answer videos through and through, thank you. You're a real trooper. Thanks for the questions, everybody who asked a question, and yeah, thanks for the 10 years. Thanks for sticking with me, and let's continue on from here. And I already promised that there's going to be a new room tour video this month, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching this. I'll see you next time. Bye.